Dear humans, I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the thousands of dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge, and your help, we can save them all.
Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. I'm Tara Douglas. We're going to get right to my guest today because I've got the Sylacauga Animal Shelter here. Not the shelter itself, but I've got Jay Bunt, kennel technician, and I also have Douglas Nixon, our animal control officer here for Sylacauga. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Now, we usually start the segment with our pet of the week. So I'm going to have Jay talk about our pup we're about to show. So we've got Stella, who quite frankly has been at the shelter for entirely too long. We got to find her a home.
Oh, yeah.
So this is Stella. She was on a doggy day out with this picture, I think. But tell us what kind of how she acts, what's she like.
So Stella is like a little old baby. She's scared of, I wouldn't say everything, but some things she's scared of. She's kind of dog friendly, kind of not. She has two certain dogs that she gets along with, but I think she'd be better with like not a house full of animals, maybe like one small dog or maybe like no animals at all. But she's a super sweet, very happy dog, super loving. She loves little belly rubs. She loves walks and water. She loves water.
And I think the doggy day out she's been on several times. That I think Warren did at one of our dog walkers on Saturday, and he lives on the lake, so I know he's had some videos posted of her having fun.
Yes.
So that's the joy of Doggy Day Out, is that we can get a lot of pictures and a lot of videos, and then we've got more information about those pups, so that and then you can come out and walk dogs, of course, on Saturday from 11 to 1 and meet her, because she is one of the dog walkers' favorites.
She is.
I know I've had so many people when I'm pulling dogs come up that say that they would like to walk Stella. So
Stella's a hit.
She is quite the dog. I know everyone's confused as to why she's still there.
Yeah.
But can you tell us a little more about Doggy Day Outs? Do you know, because I know a lot of people will ask about that, and that gives those pups a break from the shelter for a little bit. So tell us about that.
So you can come down there and ask, like if you have like a certain dog, like most people that are regularly, they know the dogs, they'll come out and be like, hey, I want Stella or such and such to take them on a Doggy Day Out, and you'll just sign this not really basically a contract. Now, if you lose the dog, perhaps you would have to pay the adoption fee since you lost it. But you can take them like to get a pup cup, into PetSense, I think Bluebell Park, anywhere. You can walk the dogs and stuff like that. Just let them have as much time as they can out of the shelter, because it's more than what they get on the walk. So.
Absolutely. And so it helps so much because they do have that time out of the shelter. But also, if you're willing to get one of the dogs and go for if you're wanting to adopt a dog, you can take a dog on Doggy Day Out to see if it's the right fit for you. And you can also foster to adopt. I've been seeing a lot on the shelter Facebook page about people that are doing that foster to adopt. So how does that work?
So we encourage that more, because if, let's say you really like this dog and you're like, oh, I just want to adopt such and such. Okay, you pay the money, you get the dog, and then something happens, the dog's not so friendly with children or another dog, it attacks a dog, then we don't, you don't get the money back that you just spent, so you have to bring us the dog back, and then we have to go through all that, and the dog has to go through all that. So it's easier if you foster them. That way, if it doesn't work out, well, you can try a different dog rather than paying all the money for it and it not working out. Or when somebody's like, hey, we want to adopt a dog, and then they see a dog, we'll normally take them out to the play yard or let them go ahead, spend some time with that dog, instead of just taking the dog and not really knowing how it's going to react around you. You need to really know for sure before you adopt that dog.
And that really helps to make the adoption successful, of course.
It
does.
does.
That's important for everybody, for shelter staff, for the dog, for the adopter, to know that it's going to work out.
Yes.
Because it doesn't always, not always a perfect fit. And so
No.
that's why it's so important for people to really think before they
Yes.
adopt and know that
It's
they're
very
ready to
important.
adopt, and if they need to train the dog, they can train the dog or work through that too.
Right.
Because the shelter, let's talk to both of you about this, the shelter is full. And it's
Always.
always full,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go to Douglas here. Let's talk about animal control. What's been going on lately? How many dogs have you gotten so far?
Yes, we're actually pushing on as of by May 7th. We're already pushing at nearly 200 dogs off the street.
Okay. Since when? When did that?
Since May 7th of last year.
Okay, so over the last year.
Over the last year, yes, that we're pushing right now 200 dogs off the street.
Okay.
February was 44 dogs.
So you've been working hard.
Yes, shortest month most dogs I've had in 1 month.
Okay.
And a good portion of that wasn't puppies. December was 36, but 16 of those were little baby puppies.
Okay.
And I know that there's issues still with the Avondale Mill dogs, the Walmart pack, the Public packs, the Home Depot pack. I have traps actively set out between Walmart, Publix, and Home Depot. I'm rotating them because the dogs don't all stay in one place every time. Weekly, trying to get those taken care of.
Okay.
It would be easier if people would quit feeding the dogs at these places, because if they're not hungry, they're not going to go into the trap where I have food set. And I've gone around and I've seen the bowls and everything, and I will let everyone know I'm actively sweeping up that food because it's not going to help. All it's going to attract is more dogs, possums, raccoons, everything that's going to become a nuisance in these places of business.
Now, from what you've seen with the dogs there, in particular at Walmart, Publix, and at Home Depot, are those three separate groups, or do they kind of intermingle some?
They
or what?
intermingle for the most part, and like I'll see maybe 2 over here at Home Depot, and then I'll see them again at Walmart the next week.
Okay.
I am aware that there is at least 4 to 5 dogs, but
Okay.
for the most part, will not see those 4 to 5 dogs at the same time.
Okay.
They are usually 2 here, 2 there, and I am aware that there is a puppy now
Okay.
that's following one of them.
Okay.
And if we could not feed the animals, then they'll be more likely to go into the traps, and now we can get them there to the
And
shelter.
And it's so important with that puppy in particular, because the puppy might be able to, you might be able to find a home for that one. I mean, it's
Correct.
kind of tough as the dogs get older, because I imagine some of those dogs, and correct me if I'm wrong, some of them are feral, meaning that they were born out there wild and are still wild, and some of them might have been dumped, so they'd be more of a stray dog that's had a home before.
Oh, yes.
But it's hard to catch any of them, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They have been around people enough to know not to trust them to
Okay.
a certain degree, where I've actually set up traps with Vienna weenies and bacon and everything everyone will try,
Yeah.
and left a little trail to the trap. They'll eat all the way to the trail, see the trap, and leave.
So they've become trap savvy. They know
Yes.
what's happening.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of disguising it a little bit better and everything like that.
Because it is tough. I mean, these dogs, they get to where they are very street smart and don't and know, okay, this is a trap. I don't think I should go in there. Now, I see people posting periodically that they're touching one of those dogs, that they're sitting there and petting a dog. But even if you can get your hand near a dog's head, it's still hard to catch.
Correct. More than likely, I wouldn't recommend you petting it because, for one, they're not used to people. They could pet, you can pet them at any time, but at any time they can just lunge at you and bite you, and then it's a bigger situation.
Absolutely.
We're trying to get them off the street without anyone getting hurt. If they're going around biting people, then that becomes a bigger issue. And it's a lot more medical stuff that doesn't need to be done.
Absolutely. And it is hard, I'm sure, for people who are not in the trenches, so to speak. It is hard to look at these dogs at all these different locations and not think about your dog that's at home laying on your couch. But
Correct.
these dogs are essentially wild dogs.
Correct.
And so everybody needs to be cautious around them
Yes.
and understand that you're trying. You're going to do everything you can to try to get them.
Yes.
And
And Another thing, I've had this issue come about with the Walmart dogs. If you see me out there actively trying to get the dog, I know it's in your best intention. Please do not stop and try to help, because then I have to focus on the dog and making sure you do not get attacked. So I'm less worried about the dog at that point and more worried about the public getting too close to that dog. So in that accord, I'm more willing to scare the dog off and fight that battle again the next day instead of worrying if you're going to be bitten.
Yeah, because we got to make sure that the public's safe. And
Yes.
yeah. Now you've got, so with the 200 dogs, you also get, you not only are trapping the wild dogs in the area and the packs of stray dogs,
Yes.
but let's talk about what has to happen when you get a call, or if you know that there's a dog somewhere that you need to go. I mean, we discussed this before, but I think that we get the same questions over and over. So let's
Yes.
let's answer those questions.
Yes. You will either call the non-emergency dispatch line or the shelter. If no one answers the shelter, you can leave a message. We do check them on a very regular basis. Every time I usually come in there, I'm starting to learn the process of remembering to check it every time I come in the building. And I will go out there, and if it's a case of, hey, I have a dog trapped in my garage, I know not to bring a trap. But it's, hey, this dog keeps coming in my yard on a normal basis, I'm going to bring a trap out there. I'll sit down with the owner of the house and everything, talk to them, work out a game plan on, hey, if it's coming only here at 3 o'clock in the morning, you cool if I set a trap down? We find a location that'll work out for everyone. And I check that on every morning and evening to make sure. And if the owner's home and the dog goes in, let's say at noon, you just call the shelter up, I come right out there, I get the dog, and everything is hunky-dory.
So a dog doesn't have to stay in a trap very long.
No.
You have to trap it.
The only time it would stay in there for an extended length of time is if it goes in there like at 7 o'clock at night. I'll get it out at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
But for the most part, my traps are covered and everything, so even if it does pop up rain or if it's a little chilly out there, they're not in direct wind or anything.
Okay. Now let's talk about just outside of city limits. If somebody has a problem with a stray dog or anything like that, what's the process there?
Correct. I'm limited to city jurisdiction. Once we start going into county areas and everything, like the Mill Village and just right outside, like past Nemac and everything, I have no jurisdiction. But if you do file a police report about an issue and that leads to, there is a paper trail, you have to have records. Because if a Talladega County officer says, hey, this is right on the line and everything, can you come out here and look at this with us? While that officer is present, I can go out there and do it because an officer is asking for assistance.
Okay.
I wish that I could go out a little bit further
Yeah.
and help, because a lot of the calls are just right on that line.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people, as long as you file a police report and have documentation that this is a situation, then we can go from there.
Okay. So that's good. So there are some steps if you're just right outside of the city limits that you
Yes.
can't help. Now, before we go, we got another minute or so. Let's talk about this coming Saturday, or the Saturday before Easter at the shelter with the dog walkers, because we've had so many wonderful people coming out to walk dogs every Saturday. And I know Ashley and Jessica Cunningham have got something fun set up for the dogs. So
Yes.
tell us about that real quick. And
So, from my understanding, it's going to be like a regular Easter egg hunt, but with the dogs, they're going to be plastic eggs filled with treats. And as they're walking the dogs, try and let them find them. And if they can't open them, then open it for them. They'll eat the little treats as they're going along. So, it'll be a little fun
Yeah.
little thing.
Absolutely, it should be a lot of fun. So make sure to come out and join us this Saturday from 11 to 1 to walk the dogs and have the Easter hunt and find some treats for everybody. And we would love to have you out there, and come to meet Stella too, because she's there. And like I said, she's a walker favorite. I'm sure she'll be the best at finding eggs and get the most treats. But come out to meet Stella, because we would love to find her a home. And again, thank you, Douglas. Thank you, Jay, for coming on the
You're
show
welcome.
today. Always enjoy having you. You have some great information about the shelter, and we appreciate all the work that both of you do to help with the dog and cat situation here in Sylacauga. So thanks again for coming on the show. And we'll have more Daybreak after these messages.